First Officer Keltos leaned toward Lyris. Captain, Commander Reth reports the humans have captured all 3 probes intact. They're requesting instructions. The tension in the room thickened. What should have been a simple retrieval mission had become a diplomatic crisis with a species far more advanced than expected. Perhaps, Science Minister Helek suggested, we should be more transparent about our concerns. The Alliance protocols exist for good reason. President Okafor nodded. We're listening. Lyris considered her options. The humans clearly had capabilities beyond what they had demonstrated publicly. The mission was spiraling beyond containment. Very well, she finally said. The technology caches contain more than just tools and scientific principles. They contain historical records, cultural archives, and, yes, weapons technologies from a time when the Alliance faced existential threats. The Schism War, Admiral Chen stated. We've translated portions of those records. Then you know why we're concerned, Lyris continued. The same technologies that advanced your civilization could destroy it if misused. The Alliance has seen it happen before. President Okafor leaned forward. Captain, humanity spent its early spacefaring years convinced we were alone in the universe. Finding your caches not only gave us technological leaps but prepared us psychologically for this moment, the moment we would meet those who came before. She tapped a control and a holographic display appeared above the table showing Earth ships traveling between stars. We've established colonies on 12 worlds in nearby systems. We've built a civilization based partially on your technology, but guided by our values. We cannot and will not relinquish what has become fundamental to our existence. First Officer Keltos whispered urgently to Lyris. Captain, High Command has activated the contingency protocol. The containment fleet has been dispatched. They'll arrive within 30 hours. Lyris felt a chill run through her system. Containment meant only one thing. High Command had decided human advancement posed too great a risk. They would attempt to neutralize Earth's capabilities by force if necessary. Madam President, Lyris said carefully, my authority to negotiate has certain limitations. I request a 12-hour recess to consult with my superiors. Okafor exchanged glances with Admiral Chen before responding. Of course, Captain. We understand the need for consultation. As the alien delegation was escorted back to their quarters, Chen fell into step beside the President. They're stalling, Chen said quietly. Our deep space sensors detected quantum fluctuations consistent with Alliance FTL signatures at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. More ships are coming. Okafor's expression hardened. How many? At least 20 vessels, significantly larger than the current delegation. They came expecting to find primitives playing with fire, Okafor mused. Instead, they found equals who've improved their technology. Now they're calling for reinforcements. Should we reveal our full capabilities? Chen asked. Not yet. Prepare. The Phoenix Protocol, but keep it on standby. Let's see if diplomacy can still prevail. In her quarters, Captain Lyris faced a moral dilemma unlike any in her long career. The humans had violated no actual laws. They had simply found and used technology that had been abandoned on their world. Yet Alliance protocols were clear about containment of species who advance too quickly. The contingency fleet will arrive with orders to neutralize human military capability, First Officer Keltos reminded her. Potentially millions will die. No, Lyris replied softly. And for what? For finding what we left behind? For being more adaptable than we expected? She made her decision. Lyris would attempt one more round of negotiations, but this time she would warn the humans about what was coming. Evolution's verdict, the Myriad Alliance contingency fleet emerged from fold space at the edge of the solar system. 22 warships designed for species containment operations. Grand Admiral Vexor, veteran of 3 such operations, surveyed the tactical display with cold efficiency. Status of the advance team? He demanded. Still engaged in diplomatic talks, Grand Admiral, his aide reported. Captain Lyris has requested additional time for negotiations. Vexor's 4 arms made dismissive gestures in sequence. Negotiations are a formality. Our scans confirm the humans have accessed and adapted all 7 technology caches. Protocol is clear. No pre-council species may possess Class 5 technology. Prepare containment protocols. On Earth, in a secure chamber beneath the presidential residence, Captain Lyris sat alone with President Okafor and Admiral Chen. The alien captain had requested this private meeting outside the normal diplomatic channels. "What I'm about to tell you violates Alliance protocols," Lyris began, her voice low. "But I cannot in good conscience remain silent. A containment fleet has been dispatched to your system. They will arrive within hours with orders to neutralize Earth's advanced technology capabilities, by force if necessary." Rather than showing shock or outrage, President Okafor simply nodded. "We detected their approach 6 hours ago. 22 vessels, primarily myriad heavy destroyers and suppression cruisers." Lyris's secondary eyelids blinked rapidly in surprise. "You shouldn't have detection capability at that range." "There's a lot we shouldn't be able to do according to your models," Admiral Chen replied. "We've been preparing for this possibility since we discovered the first cache." "Then you understand the danger," Lyris pressed. "The containment fleet has technologies specifically designed to target and neutralize myriad-based systems. Your defenses, your orbital platforms, your colonies, all could be vulnerable." President Okafor's expression remained calm. "Captain Lyris, we appreciate your warning. It speaks to your character. But there's something your alliance has fundamentally misunderstood about humanity and how we've approached your technology." She activated a secure display, showing a 3-dimensional map of Earth's solar system. Tiny points of light began to appear throughout. Hundreds, then thousands of them. "What am I seeing?" Lyris asked, mandibles clicking in confusion. "Our defense grid," Chen explained. "Not the public one your probes detected, our actual defensive capability." The display zoomed in on one of the points, revealing a station unlike anything in the Myriad design philosophy. Part mechanical, part biological, with energy signatures that shifted and adapted continuously. "We didn't just copy your technology, Captain," Okafor continued. "We studied it, understood the underlying principles, and then developed it in directions your alliance never explored. We combined it with approaches unique to human thinking." Lyris studied the display with growing concern. "These energy patterns, they're based on myriad quantum matrices, but they're evolving." "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "Your technology was designed with perfect efficiency for known parameters. Ours is designed to adapt to unknown parameters, to learn, to evolve in response to threats." The realization hit Lyris like a gravitational wave. "You've created adaptive systems, self-modifying technology. The Alliance avoided that path, didn't they?" Okafor asked. "Too unpredictable, too dangerous. But humanity has always embraced adaptation as our greatest strength. In deep space, the containment fleet accelerated toward Earth, weapons charging." Grand Admiral Vexer received the first scan reports with confusion. "These readings can't be accurate," he muttered. "Recalibrate the sensors." "Already done, Grand Admiral," his science officer replied. "The readings are consistent. The humans have deployed some kind of distributed defense system throughout their solar system. Our conventional targeting systems cannot lock onto them." Vexor dismissed the concern. "Deploy the suppression wave. It will disable any myriad-derived technology within the system." The flagship generated a quantum disruption field designed specifically to render Alliance technology inert, a fail-safe built into every piece of tech in the caches. The wave expanded outward, encompassing Earth and its orbital platforms. Nothing happened. "Suppression wave ineffective," reported the tactical officer. "Human systems remain operational." For the first time, Vexer felt uncertainty. Impossible. The failsafe is hardwired at the quantum level. In the presidential bunker, Lyris watched as the suppression wave washed harmlessly over Earth's defenses. "You removed the failsafes," she whispered. "We never implemented them in the first place," Chen corrected. "When we adapted your technology, we rebuilt it from first principles. Your quantum locks were ingenious, but ultimately just another puzzle to solve." President Okafor turned to face Lyris directly. Captain, we don't want conflict with the Myriad Alliance. We believe there's room in this galaxy for many approaches to civilization, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. On the containment, fleet flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected energy buildups throughout the solar system. Grand Admiral, the tactical officer called out, the humans are activating defensive systems. Thousands of platforms throughout Earth's solar system synchronized, creating a network of overlapping fields that surrounded the containment fleet. Not attacking, containing. Vexer stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They've trapped us in a fold space bubble. We can't maneuver. Incoming transmission from Earth, communications reported. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the command view screen. Grand Admiral Vexer, this is Admiral Helena Chen of Earth Defense Forces. Your vessels are currently held in a modified fold space containment field. Your weapons and propulsion systems will remain functional but ineffective outside the field. We have no desire for conflict, but we will not allow threats against our civilization. Vexer's rage was visible even across species barriers. Release our vessels immediately. This action constitutes an act of war against the Myriad Alliance. With respect, Admiral, Chen replied calmly. You entered our system with weapons charged and intent to contain our civilization without provocation. We are simply responding in kind, but with considerably more restraint than you planned to show us. In the presidential bunker, Lyris watched the exchange with a mixture of shock and grudging admiration. In 5 millennia of Alliance history, no species had ever reversed a containment operation. What happens now? She asked quietly. President Okafor gestured, and a new holographic display appeared. A star map showing thousands of systems. Now we offer partnership rather than subjugation, she explained. The Myriad Alliance has controlled this sector of the galaxy for millennia. You've contained dozens of species that developed too quickly for your comfort. But that approach has led to stagnation. The map highlighted several systems in red. These are the worlds where your containment protocols have been implemented in the past 1,000 years. We've studied the records in your caches. Every one of these civilizations had unique approaches to science, art, philosophy, approaches, now lost because they didn't fit your model of controlled development. Lyris couldn't deny the truth in those words. The Alliance's fear of uncontrolled technological advancement had indeed led them to suppress countless promising civilizations. What alternative do you propose, Yura? She asked. A new kind of alliance, Okafor replied. One based on mutual respect and exchange rather than control. Humanity has taken your technology in directions you never explored. We suspect other species would do the same if given the chance. On the containment fleet flagship, Grand Admiral Vexer faced an unprecedented situation. His vessels, the pride of the Myriad fleet, were effectively neutralized by technology that shouldn't exist. Our options, Admiral? His first officer inquired. Vexer's 8 eyes narrowed in thought. Alliance protocol had no contingency for this scenario. A species targeted for containment had never possessed the capability to contain the containment fleet itself. Open a secure channel to the High Council, he finally ordered. This situation requires reconsideration. 3 days later, in the Grand Chamber of Earth's Interstellar Diplomatic Center, representatives from humanity and the Myriad Alliance gathered to sign a historic accord. Captain Lyris and President Okafor stood side by side before delegates from both civilizations. The Mutual Development Treaty marks a new chapter in galactic history, Okafor announced. No longer will advanced technology be hoarded or controlled by any single group. Instead, we will share knowledge, respect unique developmental paths, and learn from our differences. Lyris stepped forward. The Myriad Alliance acknowledges that our approach to galactic development has become ossified. Humanity has shown us that there are many paths to advancement, and that diversity of thought leads to innovation beyond what any single approach could achieve. The treaty established a framework for technological exchange, cultural cooperation, and mutual defense. Most significantly, it included provisions for reviewing previous containment operations, offering other species the opportunity to reclaim their own developmental destiny. As the formal proceedings concluded, Admiral Chen approached Captain Lyris. There's still one question you haven't answered, Chen noted. Why did the Alliance leave technology caches on Earth in the first place? The records we decoded mentioned the preservation protocol, but were frustratingly vague on specifics. Lyris's expression grew solemn. 5,000 years ago, the Alliance faced a threat we could not overcome, an entity we called the Void. It consumed entire star systems, adapting to every weapon we deployed against it. The preservation protocol wasn't just storage, it was a desperate gamble. You seeded worlds with your technology, hoping that other species might develop it in different directions, Chen realized. Directions that might someday defeat what you couldn't. Yes, Lyris admitted. We placed caches on hundreds of worlds, hoping that when we returned, at least one species would have created something new, something the Void had never encountered. And the Void? Okafor asked, joining the conversation. Is it still out there? Dormant, but yes. Our monitoring stations detect movement every few centuries. Eventually it will awaken fully. Chen and Okafor exchanged meaningful glances. Then, perhaps, the president suggested, our new alliance has arrived just in time. Humanity's adaptive technology combined with myriad experience might accomplish together what neither could do alone. Lyris looked out over the gathering of humans and aliens, former adversaries, now cautious partners. The Alliance had come to Earth expecting to find primitive beings playing with fire. Instead, they had found equals who had taken that fire and forged it into something entirely new. The galaxy is about to become a very different place, Lyris observed. Evolution always finds a way, Okafor replied with a smile. Even for civilizations. In deep space at the edge of charted territory, ancient monitoring stations registered unusual patterns. Something was stirring in the darkness between stars. The Void was awakening once more. But this time it would face a galaxy united by difference rather than divided by it. A galaxy where technology evolved rather than stagnated. A galaxy where humanity's unique approach had changed everything. The ancient threat would find that its prey had become something else entirely while it slept. It would find that Earth was no longer the same. Ancient visitors returned. Captain Lyra stood motionless on the observation deck of the Myriad Alliance flagship Eternal Doctrine, her 6 iridescent eyes fixed on the blue-green world growing larger in the view screen. After 5 millennia, they had returned to Earth. "Status report," she commanded, her voice resonating with the dual-toned quality characteristic of the Valyrian species. First Officer Keltos approached, his exoskeleton clicking softly against the polished deck. "All systems nominal, Captain. We've maintained stealth protocols throughout our approach. The primitives shouldn't detect our presence until we choose to reveal ourselves." Lyris's facial membranes rippled in acknowledgement. The Myriad Alliance, a coalition of 17 advanced species from across the galaxy, had seeded hundreds of worlds with technology caches during their golden age of expansion. Earth had been merely one unremarkable deposit among many, a convenient storage location in a system far from the galactic conflicts of that era. The indigenous species had barely discovered fire when the Alliance placed their vault deep beneath what humans would later call the Ural Mountains. "Prepare the retrieval team," Lyris ordered. "Standard protocol for pre-technological civilizations. Minimal contact, memory suppression if necessary." As the Myriad fleet decelerated into Earth orbit, something unexpected happened. Alerts screamed across every console on the bridge. "Captain," Sensor Officer Neri called out, her crystalline appendages trembling. "I'm detecting thousands of artificial satellites in orbit. There are structures on their moon, and energy signatures consistent with fusion technology." Lyris rushed to the sensor station, mandibles clicking in disbelief. "Impossible. Our models predicted they wouldn't achieve basic spaceflight for another 1,000 years at minimum." The view screen shifted to show Earth in greater detail. Orbital platforms connected by transit systems, massive solar collection arrays, vessels of various designs traveling between Earth and its moon. The night side of the planet glowed with sprawling metropolitan centers. "They've advanced," Keltos stated unnecessarily. Lyris felt a chill run through her primary nervous system. This changed everything. The technology cache they'd come to retrieve contained weapon systems, power generation methods, and computational matrices far beyond what even a moderately advanced species should possess. If the humans had found it. "New contact," Neri shouted. Multiple vessels approaching from the far side of their moon. Configuration unknown, but their energy signatures are. "Captain, they're using modified Valyrian drive systems." On Earth, in the Central Command Complex beneath New Geneva, Admiral Helena Chen watched the holographic display with practiced calm. Quantum sensors had detected the alien fleet the moment they dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. "Identification?" she asked the room of officers and analysts. "Nothing in our database matches exactly," replied Commander Jackson, head of Xenobiological Intelligence. "But their design philosophy and energy signatures bear similarities to technology. Cache Alpha, the first cache we discovered in 2097. Chen nodded. Humanity had found 7 technology caches buried around the planet over the past century. Those discoveries had catapulted human civilization forward by millennia, allowing them to solve the climate crisis, end resource scarcity, and expand throughout the solar system. 20 years ago, they'd achieved faster-than-light travel. 10 years ago, they'd established their first extrasolar colony. So they've come back for their stuff, she mused. Activate the Sentinel fleet. Full defensive posture, but no offensive actions unless provoked. And get me President Okafor. Within minutes, 12 Earth vessels surrounded the alien fleet, maintaining a respectful distance but clearly positioned for both defense and, if necessary, attack. "We're being hailed," Communications Officer Tren reported on the Eternal Doctrine. "The signal is using our own communication protocols." Lyris straightened her ceremonial armor. On screen, the face that appeared was human. Female with dark skin, close-cropped hair, and eyes that conveyed both authority and intelligence. "Greetings, visitors. I am Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting someone like you for some time." "Welcome to Earth." Lyris managed to hide her shock. "I am Captain Lyris of the Myriad Alliance. We have come to reclaim property that belongs to us." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Perhaps we should discuss this face-to-face, Captain. We've prepared diplomatic facilities for such an occasion. You and your delegation are welcome to join us planetside." The alien captain hesitated visibly. This was far from the standard retrieval operation they had anticipated. "You've found our technology cache." "Caches, plural," Chen corrected. 7 to be precise. "They've been quite transformative for our species. We have much to discuss." 12 hours later, Lyris led a delegation of 7 Alliance representatives into Earth's Interstellar Diplomatic Center in New Geneva. The architecture itself told a story, human designs incorporating unmistakable elements of Myriad technology. Even more unsettling were the modifications and improvements. The humans hadn't simply copied, they had innovated. President Aisha Okafor greeted them in a grand chamber decorated with symbols from both human cultures and, disconcertingly, accurate representations of Alliance member species. "Captain Lyris, welcome to Earth. I hope this meeting marks the beginning of productive relations between our peoples." Lyris struggled to reconcile the primitive fire users of their historical records with the advanced civilization before her. "Madam President, I must be direct. The technology you have accessed was not intended for your species. It represents violations of Alliance protocols on multiple levels." Okafor smiled diplomatically. "I understand your position, Captain. From your perspective, you left something in storage and returned to find someone else using it. But from our perspective, we discovered artifacts buried on our world. Artifacts that saved our civilization from imminent collapse and helped us reach the stars. Those artifacts were placed in secure containment with advanced encryption," Science Minister Helix interjected, his tentacles rippling with agitation. Dr. Sophia Patel, Earth's chief scientific advisor, stepped forward. "Your encryption was impressive, certainly, It took us 15 years to crack the first vault. But each subsequent cache was easier as we learned your methodologies. By the fourth cache, we were able to access the systems in months rather than years. The aliens exchanged troubled glances. Humans shouldn't have been capable of breaking myriad encryption at all, let alone improving at it. We would like to see what you've done with our technology, Lyra stated, attempting to regain control of the situation. Of course, President Okafor agreed. We've prepared a comprehensive demonstration, but first, I believe we should discuss the Myriad Alliance itself, your history, your current status in the galaxy, and most importantly, why you left technology caches on Earth in the first place. Lyris felt the diplomatic ground shifting beneath her. The humans spoke not as primitive, recipients of advanced technology, but as equals, or worse, as those who had moved beyond what the Alliance had achieved. That information is classified, she responded automatically. Admiral Chen smiled for the first time. Not anymore, Captain. We've decoded your historical archives as well. We know about the Schism War. We know about the fall of the Seventh Dominion. And we know about the Preservation Protocol. The alien delegation went completely still. That information was contained in only the most secure sections of the cache data cores. If humans had accessed it, you've created weapons from our technology, Lyris stated, her voice now hard with concern. We've created everything from our technology, President Okafor corrected. Medicine that has extended our lifespans threefold, energy systems that have eliminated scarcity, and yes, defensive capabilities to protect what we've built. Lyris's second heart began beating faster. The mission had gone completely off protocol. This was no longer a simple retrieval operation. It was a first contact with a species that had bootstrapped itself to near Alliance levels using Alliance technology. I must consult with my superiors, she declared. Of course, Okafor nodded. In the meantime, we've prepared quarters for your delegation. And tomorrow, if you're willing, we would like to show you exactly what humanity has done with the gifts you unintentionally left us. As the aliens were escorted to their accommodations, Admiral Chen fell into step beside President Okafor. They're scared, Chen observed quietly. They should be, Okafor replied. They left tools in the hands of children and returned to find adults who've built things they never imagined. Do you think they'll try to take it back by force? The president's expression hardened. Let's hope they're wise enough not to try. Back on the Eternal Doctrine, the remaining Alliance officers received Lyris's encrypted transmission with growing alarm. Prepare Contingency Protocol Omega, Commander Reth ordered. If diplomacy fails, we must be ready to neutralize this threat before it spreads beyond this system. Deep within the vessel's secure vault, ancient weapons began to power up for the first time in millennia. Diplomatic chess dawn broke over New Geneva, painting the city's fusion of classical architecture and advanced technology in golden light. In her quarters, Captain Lyris reviewed the secure transmissions from the Myriad Alliance High Command. Their orders were clear but troublingly vague in execution. Assess threat level, reclaim technology by negotiation if possible, contain situation if necessary. The diplomatic meaning behind contain was obvious. If humanity posed a genuine threat to galactic stability, the Alliance authorized extreme measures. Down the hall, Admiral Chen was conducting her own briefing with Earth's Security Council via quantum-encrypted hologram. They're scared and trying not to show it, she explained to the assembled leaders. Their body language, pheromone releases, and micro-expressions all indicate they're operating outside their protocols. Can we trust them? Asked General Yasuki from Lunar Command. About as much as they can trust us, Chen replied dryly. Their ships have powered up weapon systems they thought we couldn't detect. Classic defensive posture. President Okafor nodded. Then we proceed as planned. First, we show them what we've built. Enough to impress, but not enough to reveal our full capabilities. Then we negotiate from a position of mutual respect. The diplomatic venue for the day was the Global Technology Museum in what had once been called Switzerland, a massive complex showcasing humanity's technological evolution. Captain Lyris and her delegation were escorted through exhibits demonstrating Earth's development from basic tools to faster-than-light travel. Dr. Patel guided the tour, explaining each breakthrough with evident pride. This section shows our first adaptation of myriad quantum computation matrices. We discovered the first cache in 2097 during a deep mining operation. By 2120, we had integrated the principles into our own technology, creating the first true quantum internet. Science Minister Helix drifted closer to a display showing the original alien artifact next to human adaptations that grew progressively smaller and more elegant with each iteration. "You improved the designs," he stated, multifaceted eyes, blinking in sequence. "Of course," Patel replied. "The original technology was brilliant but optimized for materials we didn't have. We adapted it to work with Earth elements and manufacturing techniques. Eventually, we surpassed the original specifications." The tour continued through increasingly advanced technologies: gravity manipulation, fusion containment, biological engineering, and finally, faster-than-light propulsion. "Your original drive designs used a 6-dimensional fold technique," explained Chief Engineer Kamau, tapping a holographic display that showed the complex mathematics. "We found it elegant but inefficient for our purposes. Our adaptation uses a modified 9-dimensional approach that reduces energy requirements by 63%. Lyris exchanged glances with First Officer Keltos. The humans weren't just using myriad technology, they were evolving it in directions the Alliance had never explored. "And your weapon systems?" Lyris asked directly. Admiral Chen stepped forward. "Primarily defensive. Shield technologies. Point, defense systems, gravitational distortion fields. We developed alongside your technology, Captain, but with our own priorities." While the tour continued on Earth, aboard the Eternal Doctrine, Commander Reth was implementing his own agenda. 3 stealthed probes launched silently toward Earth's surface, their mission to gather unfiltered data about human military capabilities and technological development. "Targets acquired," reported Tactical Officer Zev. "The humans appear to have no detection capability for our latest stealth technology." Reth's facial membranes contracted in satisfaction. "Deploy surveillance drones to the coordinates of all 7 caches. We need to know exactly what they've taken and what they've left." The first probe slipped undetected through Earth's atmosphere, headed for the original cache site in the Urals. The second targeted the North American continent. The third aimed for the Pacific Defense Complex. At Earth's Quantum Defense Network headquarters beneath Mount Fuji, Lieutenant Commander Aiko Nakamura watched as alerts flashed across her console. "Director, we have 3 unidentified objects, breaching atmosphere, stealth technology, but our gravity wave detectors caught the displacement." Director Rahul Singh nodded calmly. "Track but don't intercept. Let's see what they're after." Back at the museum, the diplomatic dance continued. President Okafor led the group into a secure conference room where refreshments suited to both human and alien biologies had been prepared. "Captain Lyris," she began, "I believe we've demonstrated that humanity has become a spacefaring civilization worthy of respect. Now let's discuss what you really came for." Lyra settled her elongated form into the specially designed chair. "Madam President, the technology caches were placed on Earth as part of the Alliance Preservation Protocol. They were never intended for use by pre-spacefaring species. Yet here we are," Okafor countered. "The caches have been integrated into the foundation of our civilization. They cannot simply be removed. The technology contains dangerous elements you may not fully comprehend," Lyris insisted. "The Alliance has protocols for a reason. New species must develop gradually, naturally, before being introduced to certain concepts." Dr. Patel interjected. "With respect, Captain, we've been using this technology safely for over a century. We've developed our own ethical frameworks and safety protocols. And yet you've created weapons," Science Minister Helix noted. "As has every species in history," Admiral Chen replied evenly. "The difference is our weapons were developed with the primary goal of defense, not conquest." On the Eternal Doctrine, alarms suddenly blared across all decks. Commander Reth rushed to the command center. "Report," he demanded. The probes, sir, Tactical Officer Zev replied, voice tight with concern. The humans have neutralized them. Impossible. Our stealth technology was ineffective, sir. They not only detected the probes but captured them intact using some kind of gravitational containment field we've never seen before. Reth's secondary heart raced. Did they detect the origin point? Are they tracking back to us? Unknown, sir, but Zev was interrupted by a new alert. Sir, we're being hailed by the probe sites. In the diplomatic conference room, President Okafor's aide whispered something in her ear. The president's expression remained unchanged, but she glanced meaningfully at Admiral Chen. Captain Lyris, Okafor said calmly, it seems your vessels have launched unauthorized surveillance devices into our atmosphere. Lyris stiffened. They weren't supposed to detect those probes. A standard security precaution. We meant no, let's not insult each other's intelligence, Chen interrupted. Your probes targeted our primary defense installations and original cache locations. That goes beyond precaution, into espionage.